and greetings, Fate Makers! Due to popular demand, we're back with 4th episode of Wonderfix. I'm Pirek and I'll be your host tonight. Wonderfix focuses on explaining how changes from the latest hotfix affect your game, and we also bring up some gear often mentioned as underperforming, and we ask our guests to make it work. Speaking of guests, I have a pleasure to welcome our guest for the show today, Mystique Siren. Hi.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm a late streamer, so I just woke up.
Okay.
And I'm ready to get into this hotfix.
All right. So let's see. The new featured run involves Wastart and Death Rattler. How do you feel about this set?
So this was created by the community, right?
Not yet. The community
Oh,
one.
this one. Okay.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
community one.
I was like, if this one was created by the community, I'm gonna have some words with them.
No. The community one will be announced next Tuesday on 21st. It will be announced when it's gonna be officially launched. So this one is still not made by the community.
For some reason, when I saw the hotfix notes and saw what it was, I was like, this has to be done by the community. Just because it's Wastard. So, but he's okay. He's not my favorite boss to fight. I don't think he's anybody's favorite boss to fight.
Mhm.
But he's definitely a fun boss in a way that you really get to check what kind of damage you're putting out. So I do like him in that aspect. Him and Drill are both the same in that aspect, that if you need to see if your build does damage, just go do one of those boss fights and Chaos Chambers, and you'll pretty much be able to say, okay, I can kill anything if I can kill Wastard.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
With the Wastard. So the new guaranteed item in the final Chaos Chamber this week is Sword Explosion. Have you tried this gun, especially after the buff it got a couple weeks ago?
So back when LeChance was the featured run, I did the featured run quite a few times, and my RNG was awful. I've tried the Sword Explosion, but I've never gotten a decent, I would say a decent roll on one. I'm a big fan of elements. So I've always want to use guns with elements. So I haven't really found one that I really like yet. I have tried just a basic one, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I can't even imagine getting a primordial with the right element and everything. It'd probably be pretty awesome. So, but shotguns have never really been my style of play. But this one's pretty good. This one, and then the Last Right's one of my favorite shotguns. And Sword Explosion is definitely right up there. So.
Well, I hope you can get the primordial one. I have a volatile one right now that I'm using, and it's absolutely amazing. Can't imagine how much better the primordial one could be.
I know.
It's great. Okay, let's see. This week's mini event, Crystalline Chaos, makes going for the gear in the Chaos Chamber so much more worth it. Increase the base crystals for clearing room and from clearing rooms and from big reward dice by 50%, and also doubled crystals from bonus objectives and switches in Chaos Chamber. I know you played this last night when the event started. How big is the difference in the amount of crystals you get?
So I was running on one of my newer characters, my Stabo Berserker build, and I could definitely tell the difference, which I'm not all the way up to 35 on that one yet, but I could definitely notice a difference in the amount of crystals I was getting. When you're getting 50% just for completing the room, more you're also getting, from the big chest. I was getting, I think I was only on Chaos 26 or 25. And I was getting 500 just for completing the the first room. So the difference, as someone said in chat, the difference is massive. So if you need to grind out that loot at the bunnies, right now is when you want to do it, because there is I mean, there's so many crystals. I think somebody told me that they did it on 35 last night, and they said they had like, I don't know what that entailed, like if they did elite rooms and stuff like that, but I'm sure they did a few. They had like 20K crystals on their run. So
I've seen Quack today, today playing, and he had like, I think he spent half hour just redeeming it one after another after just one run with those crystals.
Yeah, because you've got to go and like look at the stuff and like pick it up, because if you don't, like, you're just not going to know what's on the floor.
So, is there any piece of gear you will hunt for during this event you hope to get from the Chaos Chamber bunnies?
So back during the old event, the armor event, I literally spent the whole event grinding for armor for my spell shot. I finally got one. It didn't even drop for me. It dropped for a person I was playing with. And I still have yet to this day been able to get like a volatile Cape of the Tides armor for my for my spell shot. And so like for it to drop for me, because I'm big on like getting things to drop for myself and not like taking them from other people. And so I think I'm going to definitely go back in on my spell shot and do some more armor runs. Just because like the one I have doesn't really have the best passives. So I really want to get a Cave of the Tides with great passives. And I also need on my companion build, I have Ace Ventura Pet Detective build. And I actually need the Head of the Snake armor. And because I want my Hydras to last longer. So I can get my Dark Hydra up. Like last night, without the Head of the Snake, I was getting my Dark Hydra crown up to like 13, with no like any bugs or glitches or anything like that. So, so that was pretty cool. But I don't even have like the right armor yet. So I'm definitely gonna be searching for that as well during this bit.
That's a lot of armors. I hope that we're gonna get them this week, fortunately.
Me too.
Okay, let's take a look into hotfix changes. This hotfix addressed some softlocks, like one in the Hero of Brightproof mission, and unpatched part of the overworld near Pyramid. A Shroomener enemy softlock was fixed on a Ron Rivot side mission. How do you like that side mission, by the way?
The Ron Rivote one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was probably one of my top, probably top 5, just because it was just so funny, and it was adorable, and like when you go and you pick up the doll and you're just like, really, and then he's like, that's not it. And just the whole ending, and when you go back out to the like the overworld, he's there laying on the ground. And I love like how interactive these side quests are. So I really enjoyed that side quest the first time I did it. And you get a blue. You get one of the, I believe it's the, I can't remember the exact name of it, but you get an amulet that has luck on it from that side quest. So that's if you don't want to use a Brad luck, that is definitely a good alternative from that mission.
So you're saying it's one of the top 5. So what's your favorite side mission in the Wonderlands?
So my favorite side, it's such a short one, but I think we maybe had this conversation before. But it's the overworld bean one, where you have to flick it into the town, into whatever that town's called, and it like destroys the whole town, pretty much. I don't know. It's just it's humor that just makes me giggle. What can I say? And then you find later in the town, you find the one of the like the recordings that somebody's done. And he's like, man, nothing ever happens here. Like it's a great day. Like nothing ever bad ever happens here. And then at the end of the recording, he's like, oh my God, because like he just sees these beanstalks just rising up. So just because you did that in the overworld, you pretty much caused this dude pain. It was just good. I loved it. It was great. And then the Karen quest and the Bean quest are probably like neck and neck, but the Bean quest is probably my favorite.
There's more ecologues in a Tangle Drift about like what you did, because there's other guys saying that nothing ever happens. I hope that at least ocean is always there, right? And then it's like
yes. Yes, that one. That is a good one too. Yeah. He's like, "Oh my God, the ocean's gone." So it's just it's good. I love the things that you've done throughout the game come back
Mm-hmm.
in like echo recordings and stuff. So
Yeah, it gives extra lore to it.
yes.
So apart from those changes, we also got some visual fixes to the gear. So we got fix for the Dahlia snipers, looking at you, Skip Prot right there, and we got a visual fix for the message. Did you use that gun?
So the message,
Mm-hmm.
I was never really a fan of it. I'm big on like fast firing guns, and also I believe the message does self-damage to you,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of that either, just because usually I always try to spec it to a lot of elemental damage in my builds and stuff. So it usually comes back to haunt me if I use things that do self-damage.
Mm-hmm.
So the message I've used it, but it's just not my cup of tea. I do like some Torg guns and pistols,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, like it has to be the cross bolts and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's fair. So let's go to the second part of the little interview called Make It Work. So we talked about guns for past 3 episodes. Let's get something else, maybe spells. So let's go Inflammation spell. Can you tell us what the spell do and what would you do to make it even better?
so the inflammation spell is essentially turns your hand into a flamethrower. Which who doesn't want to have a flamethrower attached to your hand? But what's really cool about it is the fact that it has like a special effect.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's a legendary spell, so it has a special effect. And anytime I talk to somebody about the spell, they were like, "What spell is that?" And like, you don't know about the inflammation. And so they end up loving it. So what it does is when you do like elemental damage, when you do the fire damage to the enemy, it's almost like a radiation effect that we had in other games, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you infect them with the fire. If they die during that time, they explode and do fire and then spread that fire damage to the enemies around them.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, those enemies will then be infected with the fire and then turn around and explode when they die and
Basically,
get infected as well. Yeah.
fire radiation, basically.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
miss
it's literally fire radiation, exactly.
Sounds amazing. I really like the radiation in previous Lands games, so good to know it's somehow in there as well for Wonderlands. So, if you were to build something around the spell, which class would you go for?
Oh, man, I thought about this
Mhm.
and I thought of a few different ones. You could maybe go spell shot Stabo, because Stabo has contagion. It has a lot of elemental stuff in its tree
Mhm.
to kind of boost that. Um, and then, but you kind of have to go pretty far into the tree to get contagion. So you pretty much have to almost like your main tree would be your spell shot.
Mhm.
Um, then I also thought maybe spell claw. Spell claw, like claw has some fire stuff in that tree. Because if I did like a build around inflammation, then I would make sure that like I'm doing lots of fire damage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So either spell claw or spell stabo. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, well, what about stabo, or like claw stabo? That might be interesting too, because then you got contagion and then you got fire and you got a companion that's doing fire. So there's a few possibilities. But I think those ones would work the best.
Yeah. So, as I know, you really enjoy spells in Wonderlands. Do you think there's any other spells like category that deserve more attention from the players or more love?
Yeah, so I'm on my spell shot. I do a ambidextrous spell shot as my main. And I run a sigil spell.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 8% heal and 20% damage increase. It's a fortifying sigil.
Mm-hmm.
And it is probably one of the great, like it pretty much keeps me alive because on spell shot I use glass cannon to
Mm-hmm.
get that extra 30% spell damage. And I'm telling you, like sigils will keep you alive, keep your friends alive, and get you that damage boost because it's all damage boost. So you know you're getting that extra damage for everything, which is nice. But definitely the sigil spells. On my companion build, I also have a sigil spell that it's the Frostburn. It makes 3 hydras. And those hydras do count towards your dark hydras. So sorry if you can hear my dog.
It's fine.
And so I really enjoy the sigil spells. I know a lot of people use like the Buffmeister. That's probably and it's not really a sigil spell, but it kind of feels like one because it heals you and it gives you a buff and stuff like that. But a lot of people kind of like look at Buffmeister as like the biggest spell as a sigil. So, but the other ones that I mentioned are 100% sigils because it literally puts this huge bubble around you that you and your friends can stand in, and it's great. So, definitely one of my top favorites. Spells, and they're not even legendary spells. They're purple and blue spells.
Yeah, that's a good point. That in this game you don't have to exactly go just for legendaries because there's so many blues and purples that are so much worth it. They sometimes are even better than legendaries. So
yeah, like my companion build doesn't even have any legendary guns on it.
Oh.
I'm using all purples and blues on my companion build for my guns.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you so much for joining me here today, Mystique. It was lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had fun.
Me too. Thanks so much. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. For those who missed today's episode, we will upload it over the weekend on our YouTube channel. Links will be posted soon on server news and on our Twitter. So thank you guys. Have a lovely weekend and keep it chaotic great.